The Khashoggi family and the public deserve to hear the truth. We need straight answers about this conversation. We need the transcript. Once again, I'm calling on the President to release the transcript of this call. I'm now honored to introduce Ms. Hanan Elatr Khashoggi, the widow of Jamal Khashoggi, a native of Cairo, Egypt. She moved from the UAE, where she worked for over 20 years, here before her husband was brutally murdered. On July 20th, after 2 years of harassment and detainment, Hanan fled to the United States to claim political asylum. With the help of the United States Congress, she was able to get her work permit and was granted political asylum in December of 2023. She now resides in Arlington, Virginia. I will now turn the floor over to Ms. Khashoggi, and thank you for being here.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for attending this event. And I would love to thank Congressman Vindman and Congressman Mr. Jimmy Raskin as well for all of the support for the truth and saving the democratic of America. I'm very proud of all of you. I was born, my name is Hanan, I born in Egypt, I grew up in Dubai. My name is Hanan, I born in Egypt, I grew up in Dubai. Where I was working as well as a cabin crew with Emirates Airlines for 22 years, where I did have the privilege to meet Jamal in 2009. The relation continue and is getting stronger since 2009 because we realize we are like a twin. He's Adam and I'm Eve. We meet in all of our opinion. In 2016, Jamal Khashoggi was giving a speech via Zoom, and the Saudi authority did not like it. They decided to put him under house arrest. I start to object in my little capacity in my social media, speaking to different Arabic journalists to speak up and release Jamal, because I do believe strongly in him. Jamal was very kind man, stable man, and a transparent man. Whatever he see in he say it in a camera. He used to say it in our house after we got married. After I supported him in this cause, I did the Emirati did put me under surveillance. They spy on me. He managed to flee to America in 2017 and live in his apartment here in Tyson Corner. And he asked me to visit him. I managed to visit him in his birthday in March 2018. He proposed to get married to me, and he put the ring in my hand for engagement. And he told me, I might be a curse in your life, Hanan. I didn't know it will happen later on, and my life will be thrown upside down. We continue in our relation, going back to Dubai to resume my work. The intelligence of United Arab Emirates was waiting for me, detain me, interrogation me, and question me for 17 hours all about Jamal, and assuming he have a network to change the throne in Gulf area, which is not true. We got married here in America, in Alexandria in June 2018. And we decided to build a life and to be away from all of this polarization in Middle East. But I encourage him to continue the way he are, supporting democratic freedom and the good future of the Middle East, especially to Saudi Arabia. They have the resource to develop. And I did not know this will backfire in him and getting a gap between him and the Saudi authority bigger. And last time we met, it was September, a few days before he fly to Turkey. He was supposed to visit Istanbul, Berlin, London, to buy apartment in Turkey, for he can get a citizenship and he can get some kind of medical insurance as well, because his health was going down. Jamal was suffering with a lot of medical condition before he left us. I did not know ever, and we never did assume they will take his life just because of his opinion. Jamal Khashoggi was very stable man, very kind man, and he met with different people, different background, and I promise you, you will walk away with a smile. This is the kind of Jamal Khashoggi. I heard this week something very disturbing me from President Trump about my husband. He's controversial and he's unliked. I would like to tell Mr. Trump you're expressing someone else, not Jamal Khashoggi. Jamal Khashoggi was most stable man. He was a role model to represent us as an Arabic and Muslim, and he accepts everybody regarding your ideology background as well. They try to paint him like he's a friend of Osama bin Laden or his Muslim Brotherhood, and all of this excuse. This not excuse to take his life away. There is no justification to kidnap him, torture him, and to kill him and to cut him to pieces. This is a terrorist act. What they did, this is 17 men in behalf of the order came from the Saudi authority. It's a terrorist act. And I try to take action, even I'm standing alone. I'm trying to take action in different countries, which is I land because I have a privilege as a cabin crew. I land in these countries when I was under surveillance. After I fled to America and we discovered they spy on me since 2017 with different spy material, including the Paphos and Celebrate as well. We try to take action against this. I'm starting legal action in France and in UK as well. I'm looking for a brave lawyer in Turkey as well to assist me. And thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
You're not alone. I want you to know that you're not alone.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm seeking the help of Mr. Congressman Vindman and Mr. Jimmy Ruskin. I insist to get this content of the conversation between President Trump and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to stand with the truth. I need to know that what is the truth in this conversation. And I would appreciate if you try as much you can to save the democratic and the freedom to press and speech to America. Do not be copy of Middle East dictator country. We look to you here as a role model of modern civilization. Please maintain it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I want to thank Congressman Vindman for his leadership in making sure that Jamal Khashoggi is not forgotten, and that we will stand always with Mrs. Khashoggi in the search for truth and justice about what happened. And Mrs. Khashoggi, I want to thank you for your zealous conviction to make sure that the truth comes to light. This has been a week of absolute disgrace and shame in the nation's capital as Donald Trump honored and embraced his business partner, the homicidal crown prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. And we have seen, even in this degraded administration, a week of absolute moral and ethical collapse when an American reporter posed the question about what would be done with respect to the vicious assassination of Jamal Khashoggi. Donald Trump reprimanded her for her insubordination as if she were a member of the U.S. Armed Forces, and then proceeded to say, as Mrs. Khashoggi said, that her late husband was controversial. There were people who didn't like him. And then with respect to the assassination, he said shamefully and scandalously, things happen. Things happen. Let that sink in for a second. Everyone knows the truth. Following up on Mrs. Khashoggi's point, it can't be said enough. Jamal Khashoggi was an American journalist, and he wrote for the Washington Post. He was a critic of the brutal human rights violations and repression taking place in Saudi Arabia. And when he was traveling in Istanbul, Turkey, he was abducted by 17 members of Mohammed bin Salman's security team. He was strangled, and then he was drawn and quartered, dismembered, assassinated by Saudi Arabia. And this is what our president describes in the compressed formulation of things happen. And that pretty much captures his attitude towards the whole thing. In fact, earlier he had said to a traveling member of his administration who was on his way to Saudi Arabia that he should remind Mohammed bin Salman, that we saved his posterior, although that wasn't the word used by our profane and vulgar president. So understand what's going on here. Saudi Arabia was the very first place where Donald Trump traveled during his first term in office. It was the first, I believe, or perhaps second place he traveled in his second term in office. His family is deeply ensconced as a business partner with Mohammed bin Salman. And you remember Mohammed bin Salman's sovereign fund board recommended against going into business with Jared Kushner, the presidential son-in-law, because he had no experience and wasn't qualified. They unanimously recommended against it. They were overruled by Mohammed bin Salman after the first term, precisely because he knew that Donald Trump had saved his posterior when it came to the assassination of Mr. Khashoggi, and Jared Kushner waltzed off with more than $2 billion in money from the royal family, plundered from the people of Saudi Arabia. We need to just remember this, that Saudi Arabia is an authoritarian tyranny. There is no freedom of speech there for political opponents of the regime. There's no freedom of press there. There is no freedom of political competition there. There is no due process there. And there are people in jail for years and decades because of a tweet they sent. Think about that for a second. They sent a tweet that offended the royal crown prince, and they have been taken away from their families and thrown into prison in Saudi Arabia for decades. And let's just say that Mohammed bin Salman is having a lot more effect on our government and our society than our government and society are having on him. That is, we are being drawn in the direction of authoritarian monarchy and tyranny right now. We just got back from debating an absurd resolution on the horrors of socialism, clearly meant to embarrass the new mayor of New York, who's in town, meeting with President Trump. And so while we were discussing the horrors of democratic socialism, this very week, the horrors of theocratic authoritarianism were completely ignored and endorsed by Donald Trump and this administration and by our Republican colleagues in Congress.
So with that, we can take some questions.
I know this week several members of the Democratic Party did meet with the Crown Prince. What is your reaction to that, especially when Leader Jeffries said that, Leader Jeffries met with him? What's your reaction to that?
Well, look, I think that we, as the preeminent power on the planet, as a leader really up till recent times of the democratic free world, we have to deal with nations, sometimes unsavory nations. We may take meetings with the leader of North Korea and China and Russia and Saudi Arabia for that matter. But that doesn't mean we don't recognize them for who they are, that we whitewash their record, that we try to wipe away history, and in this case, a brutal murder, which is what the president did. And that's what really spurred me to action. As I said, there were two calls that were particularly concerning to me during my time at the White House. The Ukraine call and this call. And I think given what we've seen in the ensuing years and the president's own comments and the Woodward book where he said that he saved MBS's ass and how much profit he and his family have received from Saudi Arabia, I think releasing the call and the truly brutal facts and circumstances that we're very well aware of are critically important for the American people to understand, and also to provide Ms. Khashoggi some closure, that her husband's life was meaningful.
Can I just add one thing
Yeah,
on that?
absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm not exactly sure what transpired in terms of the contents of those meetings, and I'm hoping to get a readout. I certainly hope that any colleagues who met with the Royal Crown Prince or anybody else in his staff, used the opportunity to press the case of hundreds of political and religious prisoners rotting in Saudi jails right now.
Sir.
What's the process for releasing the transcript? I mean, can the Congress do anything in that regard? And I also have an unrelated question. Given your background, what do you make of the peace deal proposal or peace plan?
Yeah, so to your first question, look, obviously Congress can act. We would need bipartisan support, and I would, right now, unfortunately, my Republican colleagues are lacking in a trait, bravery. But, the president can also release a transcript on his own, and we saw that with the Ukraine call. The president decided to release a transcript, and he felt like he had nothing to hide, and he said he was doing it in the name of transparency. Obviously, there were different thoughts. The president was ultimately impeached for that. But if the president has nothing to hide in this call that I'm referring to, he can release that as well. Okay. Oh, do you have anything to say?
No, I think she was the only one.
Yeah, I want to ask, if this transcript is not released, are there other types of interviews, pieces of information, other ways that you could kind of glean more about the relationship between the president and MBS?
Well, I mean, the short answer is yes. And you could look at the other public information that the president has put out there. This comment that he made in the Woodward book that he saved MBS's ass. You could look at all of the different transactions that the president has been involved in and his family. But you could also, I think you would need to go back to an earlier point, and the conversation might be that point, where you can see where there was an offer of something, and then in exchange the president got something in return. And so I think you could look at the entire course of conduct, and frankly, in my opinion, that call was shocking. And I'm sorry, to your second question about the peace deal in Ukraine, to me, this looks like terms that were dictated from Vladimir Putin to Donald Trump to direct the capitulation of the Ukrainians, and it's shameful and unacceptable.
And could I follow up too about, is this laying the groundwork for potential future impeachment effort or investigation if the Democrats were to take control of the House?
Look, I'm a prosecutor, so I deal in facts and evidence, and so I think that any conversation regarding impeachment is probably premature. But there are serious concerns about the president's conduct, everything from his threats against Democratic lawmakers yesterday to a whole series of conduct, including conduct from a call during his first term. And so I think it's premature to talk about any formal procedures, but there are plenty of questions that need to be answered. And I see my colleague, you have nothing? Okay. Okay.
What he said.
Okay.
My comments, yeah.
All right.
I just want to say the condoning by President Trump of the assassination of Mr. Khashoggi preceded by one day President Trump essentially endorsing threats against the lives of our colleagues who simply insisted that disobedience of unlawful orders is required for people in the military or by anybody in the government. So we cannot allow a situation to develop where the President of the United States is condoning and signaling the acceptability of assassination of foreign leaders or leaders in America.
I know you can't say exactly what is on the call due to classification, but can you be at least general about why the call was concerning to you? Just give us anything more specific than just saying that it's shocking.
Well, look, I think I've been specific in describing the facts and circumstances, using the terminology of quid pro quo, the ensuing benefits that the president reaped. That's as specific as I am prepared to be. I think we need to demand that the president be transparent, that he released the call transcript, that he is transparent with the American people, and frankly provides some closure to Ms. Khashoggi. So I think we'll wrap it there, and I just want to say thank you again for being out here, for being brave, and for fighting, continue to fight for your husband. Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Khashoggi.
Thank you so much for your bravery.
It's really good to see you. Anything?